Hello everybody, today we are watching the densest city on earth, Lock-in.
What you are looking at is considered the most densely populated place that ever existed. On an area of just 6.5 acres, or 4 football fields, dozens of individual buildings have merged into one solid organism that houses
that looks like shit. Like if we zoom in here, the pollution and just everywhere here is nuts. Imagine like your kid runs away from home, you're never finding him. Like look how like packed the cities are. All the houses and all that stuff, you'll never find him. Like you'll actually get lost. Like somebody else just moves in here and then they instantly get lost. Like you wouldn't know where your house is. Plus, I feel like you'd almost stink, wouldn't it? Just how many houses just cramped together like that. The pollution in this one area, I would say, would be pretty high, like air pollution wise.
Shops, restaurants, churches, private homes, and virtually everything that makes a city.
Like, imagine one building collapses. It's dominoes, man. One building collapses, kaboom. Everything here's done. Like, everything here's getting completely annihilated.
While the outside-facing apartments get
Plus, it does look disgusting.
to enjoy sunlight, a vast majority are located within this block, full of dark pathways.
Oh yeah, you'll get jumped so many times. Like, I feel like if you get murdered here, they're never finding you. Like, they'll find you soon, but like, unless there's cameras down every street, which I would say is unlikely, you're basically done.
It is a giant urban maze that attracted all kinds of people with reasons to hide.
Somebody could just break in your house. Like, it's just so like clumped together. It's like you got cities and just... that's it. That's all they basically did. It would just be so bad living here.
Is Kowloon Walled City. To understand just how incredibly closely packed people lived here, let's compare this city with other places. Take the East Village in New York City, located in Lower Manhattan.
Very ginormous.
There's a small park in the center. But other than that, it is a pretty dense neighborhood with historic row houses and more recent.
Like, you can see trees, enough like area for vegetation and stuff like this. It's still a maze in the end, but like it's less big of a maze. I feel like this is the densest you could really make a place. Like you could like make it higher, like make buildings go taller and stuff, but you can't really squish them together more than this really. Like this is like the most squish I think you should be allowed to be squishing houses.
And large apartment buildings. Based on the 2010 US Census, just over 44,000 people live here.
Yeah.
That results in a population density significantly higher than for all of New York City, and New York is the most densely populated city in the United States. By all means, this is a dense place.
Yeah,
but let's compare it to Kowloon Walled City.
Like, bro, there's like no vegetation. This is just like, the houses here would have to be very cheap though. Like, it'll probably be like 1/4 of the houses in the East Village. Like, it would have to be cheap for anybody to consider living here in the end.
In 1987, a survey estimated that 33,000 people live here.
Jeez. Like, people say you should know your neighbor. Which 1,000 people do you expect me to want to know, man? Your neighbors are like 1,000 people. It'd be nuts. Like, somebody just plays like music really loud in like one of the buildings. Literally annoys 10,000 people just by playing one single song very loudly. Like, it would suck. It would really be horrible living here.
The density is simply astounding.
1 million.
And in reality, the number might have been even bigger, with some estimates going up to 50,000 people. Perhaps the strangest thing about Kowloon Walled City, however, is just how abruptly it ends. While everything is crammed into this tight block of buildings,
it would have been like a project that we're trying to make, and it was like, this is just very humane and shit. Let's just like discontinue doing this real quick. That's basically all it is. It would basically be discontinued. The government would have probably gotten sued or like told off by like other governments for doing this. Like, this is just inhumane, basically.
Behind the sharp walls of the city, there are relatively spaced out buildings, and even a park with sports fields. So why was everything crammed into this small block?
It would have been a project that...
The answer is that Kowloon...
It would have most likely been a project that's got the funding cut, most likely.
Walled City wasn't part of the rest of Hong Kong, but had its own legal status. The walled city began as nothing more than a small Chinese military outpost, stationing about 10. It really started to take shape more than a century later, when the outpost was expanded by the construction of a larger fort. At the same time, the nearby harbor of Canton began to gain importance. Chinese tea was a hot commodity for British traders, who purchased it in staggering volumes,
Of course, it's
allowing
Britain.
this region to prosper. However, the trade relationship was notably unbalanced. While the British bought large quantities of tea, the Chinese had little need for goods from Europe. To improve this trade balance, the British began to illegally import opium from India to China. This scheme proved effective, with the widespread consumption of the drug escalating rapidly. This led to
That would have led to a war. Once like India or basically British found out like this was happening, it would have had to let like even a small war, like a big fine for illegally exporting it. And like the addiction here would be nuts. Like you'll see random like people on the street just completely out of your mind. Like it's an off story, but like I've been in this town for a while. One time there was just a person walking down the street clearly on something, like overdosing type of stuff. Like he was completely out of his mind, man. It's nuts how much people get. It's just like, surely you're like, he didn't look homeless either. He looked like he had a house. It's like you have a conscious mind. Why would you even get that much in the first place?
an addiction epidemic, which wreaked havoc on the Chinese economy. Recognizing this crisis, the imperial government took decisive action to halt the opium trade, but this move led to a heated conflict, which would later be known as the First Opium War between Great Britain and the Chinese Empire. Britain won the war and subsequently occupied Hong Kong in 1841. The walled city was not affected as it was located on the island nearby, and as a result of this loss, the Chinese Empire decided to reinforce the fort in Kowloon by building large walls around it, giving the area its lasting name, Kowloon Walled City.
Wait, so basically all the houses are built around this wall. That is nuts, man. Like, everybody's crammed this little area. Plus, it will be weird. Like, some people will be speaking Chinese in, like, a non-Chinese area when it gets, like, in the 21st century. Like, it would be so nuts.
At the heart of this fortress, they built a yamen, which is the main office from which this outpost is administered. The tensions between China and Britain continued on, ultimately leading to the Second Opium War in 1860.
Jeez.
As a result, the Kowloon Peninsula too fell into British hands, and the final boundary negotiation took place in 1898, resulting in a 99-year lease of the new territories to Britain.
Jeez, that's a big chunk. Like, it would be nuts. Like, everybody around you will be speaking Hong Kong, and the people living in the middle there are speaking Chinese. I don't know if it's the same language or not. I don't really know Asian language too much. But, like, if that's different language, that would be so awful. You also got to think, the top houses, like, the top houses on, like, the area would go for a lot more than the bottom houses. Like, maybe 100k more, just because you can have fresh air and no one will be above you.
Is, in short, the story of how Hong Kong became a British colony, as it is commonly known. But what is
I didn't know
often
that.
overlooked is that the convention included one specific exception: the Kowloon Walled City, which is located inside the new territories, a
That'd be
Chinese
weird.
enclave in the middle of British Hong Kong. As time moved on, both the Chinese and the British administrations showed a lack of interest in the walled city, leaving
Just give it, man. Like, just give it to British at that point. It's in a territory. Not like anything will really matter in the end.
it to its own fate. The desolate barracks soon became makeshift
So technically speaking, it might as well be its own area of land. Like, a random person might as well own it. Not Chinese, not British, just a random area.
homes for squatters seeking refuge. And recognizing the need for community structures, a Protestant church seized the opportunity to establish a senior home within the historic yamen. But the peaceful existence of this enclave was shattered in 1937, when war erupted between Japan and China. The full-scale invasion initiated by Japan emerged as the central conflict in the Pacific throughout World War II. And by 1942, Japan had taken control of vast swaths of northern China, as well as holding various coastal exclaves, one of them being Hong Kong, which they utilized as a strategic military base. The Japanese expanded the local Kaituck airport.
It would suck living there through like all the centuries, man. The random area is basically neglected by everybody and then gets invaded by Japan. Living there would just be shit. At that point, just like pretend you're Chinese or some bullshit or Japanese. Like, it's just so crap.
And to do so, they needed building materials. Therefore, they tore down the walls of Kowloon Walled City, which was located right near the airport.
Fair enough.
The end of the Second World War saw Hong Kong revert to British control. Simultaneously, the newly founded People's Republic of China in 1949 reasserted its right over the Kowloon Walled City.
Like, what I don't understand is why care. It's a tiny piece of land. 8 footballs worth of land, basically. Like, it's not worth anything. Just leave it over to Britain. Like, if the people want to leave, they can. Give them free right to leave back into China or give them jobs or something. Or they can just live there still. Be part of the Britain Empire or some bullshit. Like, it just makes zero sense for just to take control of that bit. But it's just shit. Like, it'll be shit living there.
Practically, however, neither the Chinese nor the British took control of this area.
It's on
With
air.
a massive wave of refugees in the wake of the Chinese Civil War, the need for cheap living space in Hong Kong was immense. And so, in the decades that followed, a maze of buildings grew ever higher and denser.
Jeez.
Single houses became multi-story buildings, became 14 skyscrapers. The sunlit streets turned into shaded paths.
Imagine like you're trying to hang out your clothes to dry. That shit is not drying at all day. That's gonna be soaked for like a week, basically, and it would stink. Like, I don't think they have any garbage trucks inside this own area, so the rubbish would be just like copied into the street from up above. Like, it would be so bad.
Until they were eventually completely blocked from sunlight. Within the confines of the walled city, the laws of Hong Kong were not enforced.
Makes
Any
sense.
construction within the city proceeded without adhering to any building codes, with one
Oh, imagine if one building block like basically collapsed, the rest of the buildings just. They should just like some country should claim this and get it under some ruling or something. But like if one building had collapsed, like 10, 20, 30, probably like maybe 10,000 people are just dying from it.
one singular exception. Due to the city's close proximity to Kai Tak Airport, a strict height limit of 14 stories was enforced. Kowloon Walled City was located right along the path into the airport. Landings at Kai Tak were one of a kind, with pilots navigating through Hong Kong's mountainous terrain, flying remarkably close to the walled city on final approach.
So it's basically
the
stuck like
highest
that.
apartments were those facing the outside, followed
Honestly, valid.
by those near the internal courtyard. These units offered the precious commodity of sunlight and fresh air. You could add a caged balcony to your apartment, cleverly expanding your living space. But most of the units were located inside, in extremely unhealthy conditions.
Oh, imagine like COVID in this area, man. Everybody's getting sick. There's no point even wearing a mask at this point. You're just going in to get sick. But like, it's just unhealthy and combined. Like, quarantining won't exist here, basically.
This is a plan for a typical building inside the city. With no windows, people here were completely dependent on electric light.
Yeah, it would be so shit.
There also was no waste management in place, which led to catastrophic air quality. Frequently, rubbish was simply disposed on one of the city's rooftops, or thrown into one of the shafts between buildings. The air is said to have been constantly stuffy and polluted by the many factories that operated inside the city.
There's factories inside the city that should not be legal, right? That's absolutely, you're poisoning everybody. Like, it's your fault. You should be fined for all that shit.
As for clean water, a mere 6 official water stations served the entire city, which means residents often had to carry the water over long distances. In terms of
Jeez, imagine like an old person carrying water up like 30, 40, like ladder areas upwards. That would be horrible. Man, like imagine someone gets pushed. Like they're dying instantly or they fall because it's raining. And imagine the rain here. It would just flood. It really just flood everything around here.
electricity, few actually paid for the service. Instead, most residents opted to illegally tap into external cables, routing them through the city's intricate maze of narrow passageways.
What?
These harsh living
Imagine having like 7 people leeching off your power. You're wondering, why the hell do I have $1,000 power bill? Check outside, just 1,000 wires leading to your one wire. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? That's my power. Get the hell out of here, man. Like, why are you yoinking my power?
conditions attracted not just those looking for a
That's
cheap place to
leaning,
live.
holy.
The city's ambiguous legal status also attracted those who saw potential for unique business opportunities
Like
within
killing
its
people?
shadowy confines. The walled city became a popular hub for dentists. Many of those had obtained their qualifications in mainland China, but found their licenses unrecognized in British-governed Hong Kong. This rendered them unable to legally practice elsewhere in the city.
Well, that also technically means, right? If you're not like, if there's no government legally like reinforcing like actual degrees, that means some random people can just become dentists. Like, that would be horrible, man. It's basically be worse than Turkish fillers.
The absence of regulatory oversight also
Yeah.
allowed various workshops, such as those specializing in metal fabrication, to flourish within the city. And kitchens were selling popular food items that were outlawed in the rest of Hong Kong, such as dog meat.
What?
Generally, food production was a common business inside the city, despite the completely unsanitary conditions.
Jeez.
It is even said that many of the delicacies processed here over the day ended up on the plates of expensive restaurants across Hong Kong later in the night. While these kinds of businesses within the walled city skirted
Imagine you get food poisoning. Like, that would be horrendous getting food poisoning from this. Like, you would have to go to the doctors in like mainland Britain or something.
the edge of legality, others plunged straight into the realms of
Like, imagine if one of these buildings collapsed, man. Like, imagine there's an earthquake, all these bottom buildings right here collapse. They're all tumbling down. It's just going to be like this and killing thousands and thousands of people, man. This just shouldn't be legally allowed. And you got the crime as well. People would get murdered left, right, and center, abused. No one see it because it'd be too poor for cameras. Like, this would just be down bad.
serious criminal activity.
Makes sense.
Just because this city is free from the laws of Hong Kong did
And
not
Britain.
mean it was a space without order.
Oh.
Power structures still exist, with the triads, notorious criminal gangs,
Of course.
controlling the city. While businesses did not pay taxes, many of them were forced to pay protection money to these groups. And the triads themselves engaged in illegal businesses, such as soliciting
Imagine, like, you want a building up here, you probably just get killed. Like, you wanted a building right here, there's a high chance someone will just rob you and can kill you for the building. Like, this would be horrendously legal-wise.
prostitution, opium dens, and in the later years venturing into heroin trafficking.
Jeez.
The Hong Kong authorities found themselves in a difficult position, not wanting to let the growing addiction problem
Honestly, you're better off just handing it to Britain or, like, getting China to, like, hand it to him or something. But, like, there's no point.
get out of hand. A permanent police presence inside the city, a front to China, which still claims the territory as its own.
It makes so
Therefore,
no sense.
in the mid-1970s, the authorities decided to carry out many isolated raids, with police officers storming the city for short periods of time, arresting criminals, confiscating drugs, and then leaving again.
But the problem with that, it was just picked back up. As soon as they probably be like, look out, okay, there's cops here, hide everything. And as soon as they hide everything, and then they'll take it back out and continue doing the illegal activity when they leave. Like, it's basically ineffective.
In addition, various private aid organizations established themselves, operating a kindergarten as well as a Christian missionary youth center that offers help with addiction. The historic Yamen in the middle of the city became a popular social spot, hosting public events for the city's residents.
It would just stink around
Even
here,
though the
man.
situation in the city improved in parts, it was a
The main problem, like, in soon, like, maybe in, like, 50 years when it's, like, 2,300, I don't know how to say that properly, but, like, their buildings would collapse, man. Like, not even, probably in 100 years, those buildings would just start collapsing everywhere. Like, there'd be no, like, checkups, no nothing, but it's just houses stack on houses. Like, as soon as the house below you start crumbling, you're cooked, basically. Like, there's gonna be, like, a ginormous collapse of all these buildings, and everybody's just gonna die. And it's like, well, what do you expect to happen? You live in, like, a broken house that you built yourself without any legal appliances for, like, health stuff like that. Your house is just gonna collapse. Here's your house, here's all the houses, boy, you just, boom. All gonna collapse, so many people gonna die. It's just like, why would you even want this?
Again, geopolitical reasons that ultimately ushered in the final chapter of the city. Its legal status was a result of the 99-year lease of the surrounding new territories, and it is precisely that countdown that was coming to an end. In 1984, after years of negotiations, Great Britain and China agreed on a handover of all of Hong Kong back to China. This handover was scheduled to take place in 1997, but the breakthrough in negotiations also cleared up the dispute regarding Kowloon Walled City.
It's most like giving it to
Despite
China.
massive resistance from the city's residents, the two governments jointly decided that the social situation, the risk of fire breaking out, as
And
well
just
as
collapse,
the fear
yeah.
of any of the buildings collapsing, would justify the complete evacuation and demolition of the city. With the start of the
I would be sorry working here. I would just think, imagine working here and you just find rubbish. I feel like you also find a decent amount of just dead bodies through the cracks of buildings and stuff like that. It would be horrid.
demolition in 1993, Kowloon Walled City came to an end.
Makes sense.
But as the city fades into memory, two diametrically opposed ideas of its existence emerge. The dystopian image of the city inspired a large number of fictional depictions in film and art, often showcasing Kowloon Walled City as a futuristic hotbed of crime and corruption. As such, the city inspired tons of dystopian fantasies. However, what gets lost here is that this city was also a vibrant, tightly knit community. As chaotic as the city may appear from the outside, there was actually a lot of order.
Really?
And the notion of complete chaos is simply wrong. You could send a letter to someone living inside the city, and despite the apparent chaos, it would get delivered just fine. People came here with nothing. They then raised children, established businesses, and then had to self-organize those aspects of city life.
I still would say it's better off that it got closed in the end, but like the buildings were just going to collapse soon anyway. Like you could just tell it was in such poor condition for the lack of like building safety and stuff like that. It was going to go down badly in the end.
That the lack of government had left out. To many, Kowloon Walled City is a symbol of Hong Kong, showing that hardworking people were able to create community even despite harsh conditions. Today, on the side of the walled city, there is a park where remains of the historical city can be found in several places, such as the historic Yamen building still standing,
Makes
well
sense.
as a small model remembering the urban monolith that once stood here. It's easy to vilify, and it's just as easy to romanticize a place like this. Ultimately, the answer might lie somewhere in the middle.
Like it's nuts, man.
The story of
Okay, I think I'm just...
looking at changes of urban places throughout the decades, I think, can be my favorite video about the construction of the originally cleared. Great on
Okay, this is just like shit. Well, this was an interesting video. It's nuts how the city was just allowed to stand without a proper like authority figure for ages. Like you'd think just one of the countries, like Britain, would just take it over when it was in like role. Like it shouldn't have existed, to be truthfully honest. It should have just been overruled by some country at least. But that's the end of this video. I do like videos like this, so leave a like, subscribe if you want me to watch more videos like this. And I'll catch you guys into the next one.